for that you wish to talk about. It's the redevelopment plan for the beach and boardwalk between Montpelier and Morris Avenues. Consent to the redevelopment plan. Any recusals?
Recusal, sir.
Mr. Hill? Chris, you want to just describe the action requested?
Sure. So as Oriana read, the action before us is city's request for our consent to a redevelopment plan. Went through first reading with City Council on November 15th, 2017, and was ultimately approved by the state monitor before the end of the year, December 31st. So again, action requested of us is consent to the redevelopment plan.
Before I get into the board discussion, I think it would be appropriate, I'd like the public to speak on this issue so the board can hear your comments on it. And I'd like you to state your name. Let's do this in an orderly fashion. We want to hear what you have to say. Yes, sir.
I think if you just want to go ahead, you're going to be buying yourselves a lawsuit. It's subject to CAFRA, a CAFRA permit, a coastal zoning permit, and waterfront development law of the state of New Jersey. I assume some of you gentlemen are attorneys, and you should know these things.
My name's Michelle Kayal. I'm going to sit. Sorry. I just purchased an Ocean Club. And everyone said to me, you're crazy for wanting to move to Atlantic City. And we love the diversity of Atlantic City. I have small children. We wanted to enjoy the beach in front of our home, not deal with development on a beach that's supposed to be nature, and have my grandchildren one day there. It's appalling to me that this is the first time that I'm hearing about this as an owner in Ocean Club. We're not just old people, old white people in Ocean Club. We are diverse families of different religions, cultures. We are a community who loves that beach in front of our building. And my children and I, we go every day. We come all winter. To say that you're going to take away our beach, the community's beach, for the almighty dollar, instead of worrying, we want to change the image of Atlantic City, but you want to take away a place for families to go and have memories. You're going to force me to leave.
We don't want to force you to leave.
I have an oceanfront property. It's bad enough I have to listen to horrible karaoke and vulgar language on the beach in that trashy beach bar that's in front of my building. I can't leave my windows open half the time, and now it's going to be even worse. Who are you serving for this beach development? Not the families that pay property taxes in Atlantic City. Those two towers provide Atlantic City with a substantial amount of property tax. We are the future of Atlantic City. My children are the future. My daughter wants to do her residency at Atlantic Care and live in that building and become a doctor that can help people in Atlantic City. And you're taking away our beach.
We haven't done anything yet.
Why is it that I've just heard about this and that this has been going on since the end of the year? And that you were okay to approve it until everyone got wind?
I would not say that. I would say that additional facts have come to bear here. And that's why we want to hear from all of you today.
There's 750 units you could hear from if they knew about it.
Well, I know that they've had a couple of hearings. Yes, I'll recognize everybody who wants to speak. Yes, sir, over here.
My name is Mark Berman. I used to have a public forum. I don't anymore. I'm a resident of the Ocean Club. I'm a white male. I'm 65. I moved to Atlantic City 10 years ago. I could have moved anywhere else. I chose Atlantic City, our dysfunctional, multicultural Mayberry with $1 billion economy. I'm a white male. I'm 65. I moved to Atlantic City 10 years ago. I could have moved anywhere else. I chose Atlantic City, our dysfunctional, multicultural Mayberry with $1 billion economy. I love this town. I hear what everybody's saying. A lot of these people I live with. I am not in favor of a beach bar in front of our property. I have to say that because we're residential. I don't think it should be in front of the Enclave or the Ritz or the 101, period. However, I'm in the tourism industry. That's how I make a living. My wife does. I'm in the tourism industry. Is anybody here in that? I don't think so. Because Atlantic City, and I'm very passionate about this, is one of the greatest resort destinations on the planet. This year, I'm going to brag, humble brag, I was in Tahiti, Amalfi Coast, and Greece. And those places are all great and they're on everybody's bucket list. Believe it or not, we have more in Atlantic City than most of those places, especially in season. You know what we have. Maybe you don't. The beach bars, they're an essential part of this town. I love our beach bars. And the music on those beach bars, we're a tourist destination. They should be able to pump all night whenever they want. I don't care, and I live in the Ocean Club. I used to be an owner, I'm not anymore. I'm just a renter, I will rent here forever. I don't want to own property. Now, the beach bars are essential. Same as our spas, our casinos, and our private enterprises, the Irish pub, essential to Atlantic City.
But our family.
We are an family? You just, excuse me 1 second, please. Excuse me, I'm talking.
We're not here about the Irish
I just would like to say that. Atlantic City has never,
We're going to have order here.
okay,
One person
I just want to
at a time.
finish what I'm
No
saying, and
other
then,
comments. Go
because
ahead.
she said that to me. I have kids, but they're grown. Atlantic City's not a family destination. Atlantic City's an adult destination. Back in the 30s and 40s, we had a place on the boardwalk called the Globe Theater. They had boobies on the boardwalk, hardly a place you take kids. The 500 Club, you don't take kids. Kentucky Avenue, the bars that used to clubs, you didn't take kids there. We're an adult destination. You're allowed to have one. There's a great family destination 7 miles from here. It's called Ocean City. So Atlantic City is an adult town. That's where I am. That's where adults can come and have their recreation. We're one of only 5 cities in the United States of America allowed to serve liquor 24/7 outside the casinos. Ocean City, they don't serve liquor. We're a family destination. There's nothing derogatory about not being a family destination. And anybody who moved into the Ocean Club, and I'm sorry, I may not be popular here, after the beach bars opened, you may want to reconsider where you're moving, because they were there before you, and I moved to this town 10 years ago.
You don't even own it then.
No, I do not.
Okay.
I said one person.
And that makes me bad. So the fact is, I'm a bad white guy. Here's the deal. I love the town. I don't think we realize what we have to offer. I would offer my services to be on a board of tourism, because that's what I do, but I'm retired. So the fact is, I love the town. Bring the beach bars, not in front of our property, because after all, it's a residential building. And if you have families and you brought them to Atlantic City after gambling was okayed, that's the decision you made. You have to live with the town that it became after gambling. I spent every summer here over the summer, and I do remember cornblows. I'm that old. That's it. To my friends in the building, I'm sorry if you don't agree with me. I respect your decision. I respect the way you feel. I would never fight with you against what you feel. You don't have to like me, but I respect you, and that's where it stands right now. It's called respect. Thank you very much.
I really would like to keep this to 3 minutes apiece, or we're never going to get done.
I got 2 minutes, that's all I want.
3 minutes.
Bob Goldsmith, hello, Mr. Mayor. I think I met you last year when I tried to get the bicycles, not giving them extra time. There's 80% senior citizens in that building. With the bicycles, we can't even get to the beach. Now you're gonna take a little bit of beach away. I mean, how can you do that? I mean, you people are gonna get old someday too. We can't walk down past the Hilton to go to the beach. We're lucky if we could get to the beach where it is. You can't take that beach away from us. You just can't. You're gonna get old someday. You're not gonna be able to walk fast. You can't take that beach away from us. That's all I got to say.
Next, yes, sir.
Greg Burns, I'm a resident at the Ocean Club. First of all, we all know it's going to go to a lawsuit, Your Honor. It's definitely going to go to court, and it's going to be tied up. The thing I see is 6 blocks away, you can't even do anything with the pier. I mean, that's empty, and you want to build. Where's the business plan? We haven't seen anything yet. But this is definitely going to end up in court, and it's going to be tied up forever.
Yes, sir, back.
Harold Strauss, Ocean Club. I have 2 issues. One is a procedural issue. In November, at the Atlantic City Council meeting, they had the first reading, it was passed. And then it's supposed to go to the planning board. I was at that planning board meeting and there was no quorum. so nothing was voted on with this resolution. Then there was a second reading at the December City Council meeting, and the president of the board, Mr. Smalls, pulled the resolution prior to that meeting. And I've talked to many of the councilmen and explained the situation that Chelsea residents, Ocean Club, and all that surrounding area, that's what we consider our Browns Park, a public beach. The city over the years has built a comfort station, has built a handicap ramp, has built a substation for the lifeguards. Children from all the schools use that on a daily basis in the spring and summer. They come down, that's their park. We have Ocean Club residents and we have working poor around, and I sit on the beach with blacks and Hispanics and Vietnamese and Burmese, and we're a family there. Commissioners, please think about this. Atlantic City has 6.5 miles of beachfront. I'm a businessman. I'm for building businesses and bringing in revenue, but pick another spot. This is the only area. The next public comfort station is at Albany Avenue. Should these children go through our friends at the Tropicana to use their bathrooms? They're good neighbors, they're good stewards, okay? We're good stewards. Please reconsider. For the fact of one developer to throw away thousands of people in the Chelsea Heights neighborhood is unconscionable. So we have two efforts. One is legal, and I'm not an attorney, but I don't think you followed the legal avenue. And I know the CRDA can overview and oversee what our elected mayor and councilmen want to do for the people, okay? I understand that. I don't agree, but I understand that. But please, we live here. You don't. Come visit us. This is a public resident beach. Pick another area. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I agree with what Harold. My name is Mary Ann Quince. I'm also from the Ocean Club, and I spoke at the council meeting and brought up the children who are the up-and-coming citizens of this town, and I think it's important that we be very careful in what we choose to do here. We are a residential area, that whole, the Chelsea neighborhood, and if you think, and if you've been down to that section, there are so many storefronts on that boardwalk that are empty. They had to rely on the foot traffic, which in the summer, they get some. This time of year, they depend on us. We are it. We are their customers, and they can't survive in the winter. Putting something out on that beach, it's not going to be an all-year thing. There just isn't the foot traffic. There's no parking. I mean, all of these things come into play, but please reconsider this development. It really is, so please, don't take our beach.
How many of you are going to express the same sentiment? Is there anybody that has anything different that they want to say? Okay, we'll hear you. Yes, ma'am.
My name is Jackie Romeo, and I just came to Atlantic City, and I just purchased at the Ocean Club. And I just wanted to know, I gave up my Pennsylvania residency to come here, which was really hard. But I do like Atlantic City. But I just wanted to know, what exactly is this? Nobody's really explained to us what exactly this redevelopment adventure is, and why is it so big, and why does it have to be right there? Is there is there reasons? And I was just wanted to know if you can dwell on that a little bit. Thank you.
I think, do you want to, Steve?
Good afternoon, my name is Stephen Tabik. We are here because we're in support of development. Of course, we are business owners and property owners at the Ocean Club, and specifically on the site where the redevelopment is in discussion. We are not named the developer, should we be chosen, which is what we'd be happy to do. Our plan portrays a small expansion of the existing beach bar by approximately maybe 1,500 square feet. The space that you're referring to, and most of the residents here, will be untouched. The beach chairs, the intention of our group is to replace all of the beach chairs, umbrellas, offer additional amenities for residents and guests, such as kite rentals and kayak, and I have children myself, and I plan to, take advantage of the beach. The beach will remain public. It will never be a private beach. That's obviously not consistent with the city's master plan, nor the CRDA's. The term redevelopment, to me, means reinvest, reinvent, reinvigorate, reattract, all terms that are consistent with the city's master plan as well as the CRDA's. This area, just like Mrs. Quince had mentioned, it's in desperate desire. Since the closing of Atlantic Club, there has been no reason for anyone to walk past the Tropicana besides the residents of the Ocean Club. And I wish I could agree with her that the residents of the Ocean Club support the businesses. If they had, we wouldn't have those same boarded up stores that the other gentleman spoke about. Because at the Ocean Club, I think we are one of maybe 5 operating businesses. And these are amenities that are great amenities that will increase the values of the property, which we haven't seen in many, many years. I welcome you to Atlantic City.
Yes, ma'am.
Diane Gelfand, Ocean Club. You have not answered this lady's question. We have not seen anything that was on any agenda, any written plan. How can something be on city council agenda and there's nothing for the public to see? We have not seen anything written, anything planned. We
Where's
do not know
architectural plans?
exactly which amenities they plan to
Site
offer.
plans.
Wait a minute, one person at a time.
We would like to know exactly which amenities they plan to offer, and we would like to see exactly why we're here today. What is this plan?
Respectfully, that's not what a redevelopment plan is. It's not a site plan, it's a redevelopment plan. The site plan is when you get the specifics. The site plan is when you say, okay, we're gonna put something here, and this is what we're putting here, and that's a site plan, that's the next step.
Excuse me, what are you redeveloping in that area? What exactly do you mean by redeveloping Morris Avenue to Montpelier? What does that mean?
Really, it's no different than when the city used to rent out or lease out various sections of the beach. I think that...
Excuse me, Mayor.
Yes.
Is this a certain part of the beach was leased out to this gentleman here, and it was a problem every single day? Is that what you were talking about?
I'm simply saying that the city at one point would be able to lease out certain sections of the beach. For example, you have areas where you can rent out beach chairs, and then we basically created a redevelopment designation for, you can look...
For what? Exactly what? We already have the beach chairs.
No.
What else are we talking about? We would like to know what other redevelopment.
We're talking, you can look at resorts, and it's Margaritaville.
I'm talking about a residential,
No.
2 huge towers filled with
Yes,
people.
I'm simply saying that there is no individual that we've chosen for the redevelopment. I think they're getting confused with the term redevelopment.
I don't think I'm confused at all. We do not want the beach in front of our residents. Excuse me, I have the floor. We do not want the beach redeveloped in any way, shape, or form than what it is at this moment. We have beach chairs, we have beach bars within walking distance. We would like it to stay exactly as it is, used by 1,000 or more people. We don't want redevelopment to come into it at all.
I hear you, but I also think there is a misunderstanding of the process that we're talking about here. This isn't even a process today to vote on a beach bar. You have to understand that.
Sir, if you'll kindly excuse me, processes have gone on between CRDA and the Atlantic City City Council, and nobody knows anything about it. So please don't tell me I don't understand. Explain to me exactly what I don't understand. Tell me what redevelopment means.
Yeah, what are the dimensions? How much of the beach?
How much of the beach? What is the exact footage? What other amenities does this gentleman plan to offer?
That's not even under discussion yet.
Yeah, but we won't even know when it's under discussion.
No, wait a minute, you can't say that, because everything we do is advertised. when you get a public hearing on this stuff, they're advertised. But I want to explain, I want to have our legal counsel explain to you the process, if you would just listen for a minute. Look, I want to say something. You think we don't hear you. We hear you.
I don't think it matters to a lot of people who are in charge.
Look, I want to say something. You think we don't hear you. We hear you.
I don't think it matters to a lot of people who are in charge.
Look, I want to say something. You think we don't hear you. We hear you.
I don't think it matters to a lot of people who are in charge what we think.
You don't think so?
I do not think so.
Well, why don't you give me a little more credit for integrity than to make a statement that I don't care? Okay?
Yes.
I give you respect. I would hope you would give me respect. That's why I'm listening to
Please show that
everybody.
to me.
Yes, sir.
The mayor told us we would be able to address this at city council meeting. It was withdrawn the last time, as Harold told you. It was withdrawn. We never got a chance to address it at a city council meeting again that I know of. I had a store on the boardwalk at Chelsea Avenue for about 40 years. I've lived in the Ocean Club about 25 years. I don't think you can appreciate what it's like to live there with the pounding noise that comes off the beach. When the Dizzy Dolphin, the Hilton had their beach bar, when they play rap music in particular, it's very vulgar. It's not necessarily vulgar just to children. It's vulgar toward adults, and it's a lot of use of the F word, and you're getting that shouted out from the beach onto the boardwalk. It's not just the noise, though. I opened my store at 8 in the morning. Apparently the city couldn't do anything about it because the Hilton, they didn't do anything about it. I'll make it short.
No, it's okay.
But I opened at 8 in the morning and I closed a lot of times at 12 at night. Come home to take a rest and go back to work again. Did a lot of years. That boardwalk beach bar that the Hilton had in front of it would play music. A lot of times it was good music, but there were times that it just shook the building. It's not just the noise level that bounces off. You know that concept of when the noise rises, it gets louder and it bounces off the buildings, the Hilton and the Ocean Club. I was on that side. Well, I could keep the noise out, but the building would shake. So I don't know if you're aware of that kind of trying to sleep and work 7 days a week. It's horrible. I couldn't, that's all I want to say. You're invited, and we have it on the other side of us now. I think they should get rid of the beach bar on the other side of us because it's the same kind of loud music that is offensive. Thank you for your time. Jim McLean, Ocean Club.
Okay, Mr. Gant.
May I, in hearing everything that's going on, could I put a motion forward that we table this and maybe pursue this and get some more information?
No, we've been tabled too many times already. It's time somebody listened to us.
Mr. Chairman, if that motion is applicable, I will make it.
Is there a second to the motion?
We're still doing our discussion. We're still entertaining our 3 minutes, and I don't want to took 3 minutes.
I haven't got a second.
I'll second. I think that we're getting a lot of information here. I'd like to process what we're hearing. So
Just to gather more information is the whole process.
Is there an opportunity to push this back
This is the
down?
manager of Ocean Club, why don't you let him speak?
the motion is seconded.
But before I do that, Paul, would you please explain the process, because so people understand what the
My
process is?
statements are going to have nothing bearing on, I just want to make an open statement if that's possible.
Okay, go ahead.
I just want to say thank you, and I know that everyone in this room has put best efforts forward in the last few years. I've definitely been witness to a lot of really positive change, and I just want to put out there, again, I want to give the benefit of the doubt to everyone that's going to be responsible to look into these things. One of the things I would encourage that you look into is when there is a lease given or an extension of a lease permitted, I would think that there would be a lot of effort put into maybe the behaviors and some of the past experiences of this particular situation. So any redevelopment plan or any lease that you have
or any future leases, I would think that, you know, there would be due diligence done to look in to see how this is actually impacting the residents. Whether your police departments have had to have involvement, people from the city, how many meetings were had, and all these different things that will go into play. And I just would hope that you would take the time to look further into this before making any decision on the matter.
I think that
Well
one
done.
thing you will find is that this board is, despite what you may say, very sensitive to what people say and what they think is best for Atlantic City. We're not here to do things to hurt people. We're here to try and make Atlantic City better with the resources that we have. That's our mandate under the statute. And I just want to make that very clear.
The city has proposed through this designation of a redevelopment plan in a redevelopment area to have a redeveloper assigned to this particular area and for a development project. Under the Tourism District Act that was enacted in 2011, that request for that redevelopment plan in that area has to come to the CRDA for its consent, strictly to determine whether or not the proposed plan fits within the master plan of the CRDA that was enacted in January 2nd of this year. That's the narrow focus of this meeting today, is to determine whether or not what's being proposed under the redevelopment plan that was introduced by the city and then ultimately approved by the state monitor for the city, whether or not that plan fits within the four squares of the master plan. If this governing body were to consent to the plan, the next step would be the designated redeveloper that negotiates an agreement with the city would have to come back to the CRDA for a public hearing. And at that public hearing, they would have to present their site plan, which would establish exactly what they intend to build, where they intend to build it, what the setbacks would be, etc. And at that public hearing, the public would have the opportunity to once again express their view about what that site plan looks like, whether they support it or not. This is really a two-step process, really three steps if you include the city's negotiation of the development agreement. The last phase in that process would be, at some point in the future, a site plan being presented to the CRDA, and that site plan being reviewed both from an engineering perspective and a planning perspective to determine whether or not the site plan fits within the redevelopment plan that was proffered by the city, as well as the existing land use laws that are on the books of the CRDA. So it's an elongated process. This is just one step in that process.
Whoa, hold on. Yes, sir, somebody who has not spoken yet.
The beach does not belong to the CRDA, and the beach does not belong to the city. The beach is there for the public. So I urge you to keep that in mind when you go to make some decisions.
One point, Mr. Chairman. Just now I'm going to speak to you as a business person because you're all business people, okay? I've spoken to many realtors. If a redevelopment program is passed and a site plan is approved and a commercial establishment goes up there, such as a nightclub or as a beach bar, I will tell you that these realtors have told me that our property values would decline between 20 and 40%. And I say that with a grain of salt. So let's say 30%. Ocean Club pays $7 million a year in property taxes to Atlantic City. We pay everybody's salaries here. Let's say it goes down 30%. We lose the city, Mr. Mayor, $2 million. Now we put up the greatest beach bar ever. Our drink tax is 9.87%. Let's call it 10%. To break even, this commercial establishment has to sell $20 million in 4 months of sales just to break even. Now, I'll buy in and buy stock into any company that will sell $20 million in sales in 120 days. So now let's look at it as a business plan. It's a suicide plan. We're just favoring whoever the developer is. You lose from the people's perspective, the Chelsea neighborhood perspective, the goodwill of the people, and financially. It's a loser. It's a loser. Please consider that.
Yes, sir.
Beautiful.
Dominic Gaggiano, Honest 11 Corner. I keep on hearing Howard. He keep on paying $7 million on property tax. Why don't you pay my tax? Excuse me, the 7 million, I want to let them know. It's a 750 people pay you
Please direct
tax.
through the chair.
I'm
This
sorry.
isn't a debate with other people.
I don't need to stick with the parliamentary procedure. We had a motion and a second.
I understand that.
To table.
I'm done. I mean, I just, you know, I keep finding the 7 million tax. You don't
I
pay my
understand,
tax.
I understand that. I'm trying to give everybody that has not spoken an opportunity to speak, so no one thinks that we didn't care. Yes, sir.
Mr. Chairman, thank you. I'll be brief.
Thank you.
For the record, Joe Doherty here on behalf of the Tropicana. The Tropicana is opposed to this application. I'm glad to hear the motion to table it for now and to reconsider it at a later time. But just briefly, the Tropicana's opposition is different from everyone else's, so I wanted to just be able to speak for a moment. Most of the Tropicana's opposition has to do with the fact that half of this redevelopment area is in front of the Chelsea hotel that they have just purchased in the last year, spent $10 million and continue to spend money to reinvest in that Chelsea program. And they're trying to make the Chelsea very much like the Tropicana and to bring the benefits of the Tropicana through to the Chelsea, and that includes the beach in front of the Chelsea. And for this redevelopment plan to go forward, which would potentially tie up that area in front of the beach of the Chelsea for 25 years with another operator, is not compatible to the money that they're putting into the Chelsea Hotel and what they're trying to do. They were in the process of putting together a plan of their own to present to the city, a more comprehensive plan that would run from Iowa to Chelsea Avenue. They wanted to potentially take over the beach lease when they thought it was just going to be a beach lease in front of the Chelsea. And then in the last month and a half, we found out about this plan that had been circulating through. And now that it has gone through the city in a somewhat unconventional, although consistent with the current law, but unconventional nonetheless, the Tropicana did not have an opportunity to present itself at a public meeting with the city on second reading. This is, in fact, the only real public meeting since the planning board didn't meet, and the only opportunity, and probably why you have so much opposition in this forum. But so far, this redevelopment plan has not gone through the normal course of a redevelopment plan. So if we could hold off consideration of this redevelopment plan until the Tropicana puts its together and puts it through the city, that would be, I think, a fair thing to do and equitable to one of the larger property owners and taxpayers in the city. And you may end up with a redevelopment plan that is amenable to a much broader population. But thanks.
Anybody else?
Can I go on record a moment, please? If you don't mind, I find it shocking that Tropicana is opposing the redevelopment plan. If you may, I have an email which was sent from Mr. Joe Doherty, dated December 21st, 2017, to our council, which states, I'm just going to take one excerpt not to take too much time. As we discussed, Tropicana is considering a plan for the total area of beachfront between Montpelier Avenue and Iowa Avenue. While that consideration is pending, however, because they now own the Chelsea Hotel, which, mind you, does not front the beach, it's on Chelsea Avenue, they're intent on acquiring the lease for the Beach Lot 18 for the 2018 summer season to be able to better provide appropriate amenities to the Chelsea guests. So I find it shocking that your position has changed.
That's exactly what we want to do.
They want to revote down.
Is there anybody else that has not spoken that wishes to address this?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Robert Beckelman, Greenbound, Russ, Clifton Davis. I'm an attorney for the Ocean Club condominium. I understand that right now you're considering tabling this. Something's not going to change. I'm going to disagree with the attorneys in the room. This is not lawfully before you. The City Council never asked you to look at this. The City Council chose not to proceed. The City Council had a meeting on adoption of that ordinance. And why did they pull it? Because all these people were here telling them it was wrong. Why else did they pull it? Because the planning board never commented on it. They had to wait for the planning board, and they were advised properly. They didn't have the lawful authority to adopt the ordinance. So what did they do? They pulled it. Now I'm told today, the first time I'm hearing, a memo from somebody on December 31st told you that it was approved. It's false. That did not happen. You don't have a lawful ordinance before you to even consent to.
Look, that's a legal question. It relates to the statute, it relates to the action of the state monitor. I understand that. I'm not going to answer the question because I can't right now. I appreciate your comments. Is there anybody else here that has a new comment? This agency is paying $24 million a year toward the price of the bond issues for the mistakes that were made when the casinos collapsed. So we have a stake in what's going on here. I also want to say, I speak on behalf of everybody on this board. We are sensitive to the issues of the people in the city, and I would hope that you respect that. And I think now, I've heard from everyone here, there is a motion on the floor to table this because of the facts that have been brought up. It's been seconded. Is there any commissioner who wishes to speak on this issue?
I'm not going to go into them now because there is a motion, but there are a lot of questions raised there. There are a lot of unanswered questions that, quite frankly,
that's why I'm
that the residents need answers to, even more so than I need answers to. So I appreciate the fact that Brother Gant has made a motion to table this because there's a lot more. Mainly the residents have to find out, but we certainly have to find out as well.
Without question. Any other comments from commissioners?
Well,
Mayor.
as hearing people, we've heard from them on several different occasions, and we realize the sensitivity of it. But I want to be very clear to the tenants. At some point, something is going to go there because either you have.
We can help it.
Either you have.
We're owners, we're not tenants.
Either you.
We're owners.
Sorry, owners. Either you're going to have a development with trop, because
That's not in front of
Let
us.
the mayor speak. We listen to everybody here.
I'm just trying to explain the vision of the town. Part of the vision of the town is to have our beaches activated. I'm not saying that it's necessarily going to be in front of your place. I've had conversations with many of you folks, and I've basically been very candid and going to continue to be candid. The beaches will be activated. To what detriment, as to whom? It's never going to be done with the detriment of hearing communities. Like when I'm hearing Mr. Dockery speak, either Trop is going to end up coming to the city with some kind of concept, whomever actually is looking at that space. I just want to be very candid and upfront with the community that something's going to go there in that particular area.
The Ocean Club Beach. The Ocean Club Beach.
And I respect.
Excuse me, Mr. Mayor, are you threatening us?
I respect.
Excuse me, Mr. Mayor, are you threatening us?
Whoa.
You know, watch out because something is going to go there.
Again,
When you're finished, let us know.
Respectively, I understand each and every one of your concerns. Again, we can't satisfy everyone at every particular time. I do know we're sitting here trying to visualize or figure out how we're going to deal with a particular beach, right? But what if and when the legalization of marijuana comes on board? Like, we have to really be looking at Atlantic City moving forward as to how we're going to redesignate ourselves as a homeownership perspective and a tourism perspective. And that's where I think the fine line between the two is very difficult to juggle, because you have certain areas where people are comfortable with the environment in which they moved into, not knowing that what the next century or what have you was going to bring. I'm not simply telling you that this is something that we're going to push down your throat, because I wouldn't do that, because I represent you guys on this board. So when the chair is saying that we're very sensitive, and that's one of the reasons that we're all pulling it, because we do hear you. We heard you on the city council side and we pulled it. But to not have the clear and free discussions of having an understanding that Atlantic City is going to be going in a direction that makes us more viable as a community as well as a tourist destination. I just wanted to put that on the record, Chair.
Okay. One last comment, and that's it.
May I just reiterate then, please consider the past when moving forward into the future. When you're looking at a lease and you're saying that there will be obviously the potential for growth, I don't think anybody here has an issue with that. Make sure to please do your due diligence and check the people that you, I feel, have some responsibility too, that you've put into these leases, and check the past history of those leases and how those businesses have operated and what has happened at those business locations and what the public is trying to explain to you.
I think that Mr. Tolson has adequately expressed the fact that there are a lot of questions that have been raised on this issue. One of the reasons that we're accepting a motion to table it is that we don't want to make bad decisions here. We want to make decisions that are in the best interest of Atlantic City. Governing is a tough issue. The mayor is learning that very quickly. But we hear you. I will now call the question. Huh? I didn't need a motion to close the public comment on this.
Wait a second, I'm sorry, there was a motion.
We got a motion on the floor, Mr. Chairman.
I want to close the public comment.
Now you can.
Second? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, now I'll take a motion to table it. Seconded. Any further comment? Hearing none. All those in favor of tabling it?
Aye.
We have other things that we have to deal with, so